All right, welcome everybody to this week's edition of our mastermind call. This call is sponsored by the Rockland Area Chamber of Commerce and John Pyron Coaching, which is my company. My name is John Pyron, your host. Today we're going to talk about lead generation strategies. But before I get started on that, kind of wanted to set the groundwork for the next 12 weeks. So for the next 12 weeks, we're going to be going over the entire sales process from start to finish. First thing we're going to talk about is, okay, how to generate leads. This might expand into multiple calls. But we're going to talk about how to generate leads. We're going to talk about how to market to those leads. We're going to talk about how to follow up with those leads and set appointments. We're going to talk about how to run an effective appointment with a client. We're going to talk about how do you identify their needs? How do you develop trust and rapport? How do you walk them down the process where they want to buy your product or your service? And then finally, how do you close? Because sales is different than closing. So I can walk somebody through a nice, tight sales process, and if I don't know how to close them, then all I've done is I've taken them and I've showed them all the benefits of my services. And then how many of you recognize this? They say, well, let me think about it. And you say, oh, okay, I'll get back to you. And then you never get back to them, or you never seem to be able to reconnect with them. So I'm going to teach you how to close effectively. Then I'm going to teach you how to properly handle objections, because you're going to get objections. And I'm going to teach you how to prevent those objections from happening in the first place. Once they do come up, how do you handle them? And then finally, how do you follow up effectively? How do you follow up when somebody says, hey, I need to get back to you? Or in the case of, I'm going to a meeting this afternoon where I'm presenting to a board of directors, there is going to be follow-up. I'm not going to close that deal today. It is a situation where I got to go in and I got to represent a client of mine, and I've got to answer their questions, and I'm going to do my best to close it, but doubt very seriously I'm going to get an answer today. So how do you effectively follow up with that type of stuff? How do you qualify people to make sure that you're not closing or presenting too early? How do you retain your client once they've become a client, and how do you get referrals? So we're going to cover the whole gamut over the next 6 to 12 weeks. We're going to cover the whole sales cycle. It's going to be recorded and available for you as a member or prospective member to get access to. The way this is going to go, I'm going to teach for about a half hour. Then I'm going to open it up for a live question and answer. And all of you will be able to ask whatever questions you want, and I'm going to give you live coaching on this call. So feel free to put your questions in the chat window. Feel free to engage, and let's get rocking and rolling. So the purpose of generating a lead, hold on just a second. I got to put this on pause for just a second here. I always get nervous when I see my dog walking down the street there. So if my dog got out, never a good timing. So anyways, thanks a lot for bearing with me there. So let's talk about lead generation. And the purpose of generating a lead is simply to generate a lead. It's not the time to set appointments. It's not the time to explain your product or service. It's not the time to go through the long, drawn-out process of basically puking all over them and telling them about your services and what you can and cannot do. The purpose of generating a lead is just simply to generate a lead. And the one thing I have learned over the last 28 years of building businesses, and I've built 7 of them, the biggest lesson I've learned is to never, ever, ever, never, ever, that's an absolute, never stop generating leads, because every business is going to cycle. Every business is going to experience a downturn. And if you haven't been generating leads, then your pipeline is going to be empty. So it doesn't matter if you're in network marketing, if you own a plumbing business, if you're a contractor, a lawyer, an insurance person, a business coach, an IT managed service company. It doesn't really matter what type of business you're in. The only security you have in business is your pipeline, the ability to add new wood to that fire. So an example would be perfectly a fireplace. So once you go to a fireplace, you can't go there and say, hey, give me some heat and then I'll put some wood in there. It's not how it works. First, you got to put the paper in there, and then you got to put the small pieces of wood and get that fire going. Then you can put on a bigger log and a bigger log and a bigger log. And as long as you add a log every now and then consistently, that fire will go as long as you want it to go. If you add too much wood, then you're not gonna get the heat that you're looking for. Okay, so it's important to continue to add leads to your database. Basically, there's three basic ways to increase your leads. Number one is we have the inner game, which has to do with our mindset. Number two, has to do with the outer game, which is our lead generation systems. And I'm going to share with you some of my favorite lead generation systems on our call today. Number three is ultimately, you can have the best mindset, you can have the greatest systems in place, but if you don't actually take action consistently, it's not going to work. It's just like working out. If you start working out, you're going to go through a lot of pain in the beginning, but every day that you show up, 2 weeks into it, maybe 3 weeks into it, definitely 4 weeks into it, the pain's going to go away because your body is adapted to it and it's used to working out. It's the same thing with lead generation. I'm going to teach you how to put a plan of action in place where you can be consistent with lead generation. Okay. And so with that said, let me see if anybody's got any questions about what we've talked about so far. Go ahead and click on your unmute button. Okay, while we're doing that, I'm going to make a change in the deal here. Okay. So go ahead and click on your unmute button if you've got something you want to share. Let me get this set up here real quick. And you. And boom. Review. Okay, let me see if I can share this again. Boom, boom. All right. Get this back to where it needs to go. And rock and rolling. Okay. All right, so let's talk about how do you identify what a lead is. So there's two types of business owners or people on this call, on the live call today, or listening to the recording. Either you are an established business and you have existing clients, or you are a brand new business and you don't have any clients yet. Fair to say? Great. Let's take the person that they don't have any clients. They're just getting started in business. So how do you identify your perfect client? Well, I'm glad you asked. What I would recommend you do is do a Google search and find at least 5 people that are your number one competitors. Okay? That would be the first step that I would do if I was starting a brand new business from scratch, is I would find 5 of my top competitors. I would go to LinkedIn and I would work a strategy and I would connect with them. That would be where I would actually start, okay? And so before I get there, I'm going to want to sit down and make a list of, okay, what do I do that my competitor does not do? What does my competitor do that I do not do? And then finally, what do both of us do for our client? And then what I'm looking for is, what is that secret sauce? What is that gap? What is missing that I can add to that, and thereby creating a unique value proposition for my business? Once I've identified that, then I can say, okay, who out there would be a fit for my product or service? And you're going to get a buyer fingerprint when you do that. So you want to get it down to where you can identify, okay, what is the market? Is it B2B? Is it business to business? Is it business to consumer? Whatever type of business it is, you need to identify who your perfect prospect is. Once you've identified who that is, what you're looking for is a name, a phone number, and an email address. We need a name, a phone number, and an email address. And it's never been easier to get that information, especially with Facebook and LinkedIn and all the different social networks. I can get somebody's contact information very, very quickly through Google and through social media. So that's where I would begin if you are brand new in business, is study at least 5 competitors. Hopefully one of them is stupid enough to list their clients on their website. If not, when you connect with them on LinkedIn, you're going to have access to their client base anyways. Number 2 is identify, go through the exercise of identifying what do you do that they don't do and vice versa, and then come up with your perfect client. So that's one of the ways I would start if I was a brand new business, didn't have any clients. Now, that's going to be a few of you. The majority of you already have a business. You already have existing clients. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to do what's called a perfect client exercise. This all has to happen before we can start generating leads. We need to know who we're going after. Otherwise, all we're going to do is shoot a shotgun out there and hope that we find somebody. I'm more of a target shooter, man. I want to find the perfect prospect and sniper my way there. That way, I'm not wasting a lot of time. I don't know about you, but I don't like to waste a lot of time. And so I'm going to teach you how to not waste a lot of time and how to get results a whole lot quicker. So with your existing client base, one of the things that you want to do is make a list of your top 10 clients, maybe top 3, maybe 5. The more, the better. And here's the rule. How do you know which client, right? It's very simple. If they call you on your cell phone, right? If they call you on your cell phone and you see their caller ID coming through, you're excited to talk to them. You can't wait. Maybe even if you're in a meeting, you cannot wait to get back to them because it's a good, positive experience. It's not the person that when you see them call, you're like, oh man, I'm going to let this go to voicemail because I don't know what this is about. That's not the client I'm talking about. I'm talking about the perfect client, okay? And we all have them. So you want to make a list of those clients. Then there's a process that we need to go through. Step number 1 in this process is, first of all, we're going to make a list of who they are. Okay, so we're going to have a list of, here's our top 10 clients that we absolutely love and we want more of. Number 2 is we're going to describe them in as much detail as we can. And only the details that matter. Maybe it matters if they're married or single. Maybe it matters if they make a certain amount of income. Maybe it matters if they own a business or they don't own a business. Maybe it matters that they're an employee or that they're an office manager, or that they're a real estate person, or that they're an attorney, or male, female, income size, company size, employee size. All the details that actually matter is what we're going to write down. And I highly recommend you to do this on an Excel spreadsheet where you can look at it side by side, or separate sheets of paper. I like separate sheets of paper because I'm a very visual person. And so I take that sheet of paper and I write down here, put their name, all the answers to those questions that I have. And then what I want to describe is what's the wow experience? What is it that I like about them? what is that experience that makes that client really, really good? Is it they're easy to talk to? Maybe they pay their bills on time. Maybe they answer the phone when I call. Maybe when I make a recommendation to them, they don't give me a lot of flack. They just follow it step by step. Whatever it is that makes it a wow experience for you, that's what you want to write down. Now, once you've gotten to that point, what I do, and I do this twice a year in my business, I put those pieces of paper on the wall and I grab a little highlighter. So I grab my little highlighter here and I highlight all the commonalities, all the common things, all the things that we have, that these clients have in common is what I highlight. And then I look at it and I get a blank sheet of paper and I take all the common things and I put it on a new sheet of paper, and it gives me a very clear definition of who my perfect client is. And so the first time I did this exercise, it came out to be, it was a woman-owned business. They had to be in business at least 10 years. They were in a service-based type business. They were coachable, and they really, really wanted to grow their business. They were willing to actually do the work. And so when I first did this exercise, that's exactly what it came down to. Now, I just recently did this exercise at the beginning of July, and what I determined is I've got lots of different types of clients, but my one-on-one, right, they have their own blueprint now, okay? And it's going to be the same for you. When you do this exercise, you're going to get very clear on what your perfect client is. So now that you know who your perfect client is, there's a couple more things that you want to do, right? Number one, you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. You want to connect with them on Facebook. You want to connect on all their social networks that you can possibly connect with them on. That's number one. Number two, once you have them identified, we want to survey them because you like them and they like you, okay? And we're going to use their own words to help us with these lead generation systems I'm getting ready to teach you. They're going to give us the words to use. And so even though I have my definition of what my perfect client is, I want to get the marketing keywords from my existing client. So I'm going to basically ask them three questions, okay? Now this is being recorded, so I'm going to talk fast so you can go back and listen to it and write it down. But if you can write fast, this is what you want to do. Question number one, you get them on the phone. Hey, Sally, John Pyron, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great, John. What's up? Hey, do you have 3 or 4 minutes that I can ask you 3 or 4 questions? Because I'm doing some marketing research right now. I'm looking to add more clients to my business, and I want more clients just like you because I really like you as a client, and I hope you feel the same way. Oh, yeah, John, I feel the same way. Shoot, go for it. Give me the questions. And I'm going to say, out of curiosity, if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? That's going to be question number one. Give me 1 of 2 answers. First answer, yes, I will refer you. Second answer, no, I wouldn't refer you. And I want to know the answer to either one of those questions. But if it's my perfect client, very rarely, probably never, will I get a no. I've only gotten 2 no's the entire time I've ever done this. And it allowed me to figure out what the problem was with the relationship and fix it. Okay, so that's the benefit of getting that no. But most of the time, you're going to get yes. And your next follow-up question to their yes answer is very critical. You're going to say, hey, can you share with me in detail what you would tell them about me and my business? What would you tell them? And I'm going to take notes because they're going to tell me exactly what they're going to say to them, and I'm going to take those notes. Okay? And I'm going to repeat it back to my client. So you told me that you would tell them that I follow up consistently, that I respond quickly, that I pay attention and I ask a lot of questions, and that I clearly understand what your needs are, and I more than deliver what you expect. Am I clear on what you just said? And your client's going to go, yeah, you got that right. Okay, can you do me a huge favor? Would you actually just write? Do you mind if I actually jot this down and actually email this to you? Okay, I'll do the work. I'll write this down, and I'm going to send it to you. Would you mind sharing that on my LinkedIn profile, or would you mind if I use that for marketing purposes? And they're going to say, sure, go for it. Okay. So now I've got two things. Number one is I've got a quote, right? I've got a testimonial I can use, okay, which is going to help me in my lead generation. And they're willing to give me a written testimonial. Okay. So I've gotten three things now. Now, the most powerful thing is the next question. Because then I want to tell them, hey, when I asked you if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, you said you would. Out of curiosity, who did you have in mind? And immediately they're going to think of somebody. You say, you know what, don't prejudge them. They may or may not be a fit for me, or may or may not be, a prospect. But who did you have in mind? And most likely they're going to tell you. Now, if you really want to take this to an advanced level, then I would highly recommend you visit their LinkedIn profile before you go there and do your own research and bring 5 or 6 people, probably about 10 people off their LinkedIn connections list so you can help jog their memory. And then what's going to happen is not only are you going to do the market research to figure out what the keywords are, but you're going to get referrals out of the whole appointment and so forth. Okay. So again, we've got our 10 top clients. We've done our own client exercise. We've asked them 3 survey questions. We've gotten 10 answers, and now we're going to go back to the table and we're going to put those 10 on the board. We're going to get our highlighter again, and we're going to highlight the commonalities. What are the common keywords that our clients say about us? Now that we have that information, we know who the client looks like. Okay. We know what stripes they specifically have, okay? We know how to communicate that to the market. Reminds me of my buddy Alex Rogers. He owns a company down in Bakersfield called ARC Technology. He also owns another company called Chartech. And one of the things that he shares is, hey, we've all seen a zebra, right? It's a horse-looking animal, black and white stripes, right? And when you look out on a whole herd of zebra, it all looks the same. But what if you had that one zebra that was red, purple, green, turquoise, bright pink, and it had all those kind of stripes? Do you think that person would stand out? You bet. Well, every single thing that we've done in this exercise so far is designed to create a multicolored zebra. So our prospect not only stands out, but our marketing stands out amongst everybody else. Think about it. If you've ever been to a concert, and in fact, go there and look up Taylor Swift concert pictures. You're going to find a picture of her standing on stage. It's an outdoor venue with about 65,000 people. And the picture's being taken from the drum set. And what you see is you see her on the stage, and you see all these people, and everybody looks exactly the same, except for the 1 or 2 people that have a sign, or they're wearing a special hat, or they're doing something crazy outside of the norm, outside of the crowd, to stand out amongst everybody else. And that's what we're after here. We need to figure out who our perfect client is, what makes us unique, so we can create our own custom branded message to the market so we can attract more of the clients that we want. That's the foundation of lead generation. See, if you know, again, it comes down to mindset, right? If you know for a fact who your target market is, would you have any issues in going out and generating leads? Would you have a lot stronger mindset knowing exactly what you're after versus like, I just need a lead, you know? Now, you go through this exercise, you're going to get extreme clarity around who a lead is for you. Okay? Now that we have that information, what do we do? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the first most powerful lead generation system that I use in my business, I've used it for many years. I've taught it to every single one-on-one client I have. I've shared it to thousands of people through podcasts, through front of the room talks, webinars, seminars. It works so well no matter where you're at in the entire world, okay? And that stands for Person of Influence, POI. Some people in the market call it COI, which stands for Center of Influence. And basically what it means is this. Everybody has a network that they have influence with, but not everybody's a POI for you. A POI is somebody that has a high percentage of your target market inside their network. And what you want to do is set that up to where you can get access to their network. So how do you do that? Well, glad you asked. So I'm going to share with you, because I'm looking at the sake of time here, let me actually give you a resource for free. I can find, all right, here's the phone, here, write this phone number down. So 916-741-0596. So 916-741-0596. Again, 916-741-0596. Okay, so what I did is I created a step-by-step, 5-step video, okay, that I normally sell. I'm just going to give it away for free here, okay, because I want you to be able to execute on POI. But literally step-by-step, if you follow this process, I promise you, I give you my word, it's going to generate more referrals than you can possibly handle. So what you want to do is text POI. I need you to put POI in there so my assistant knows what to send you. Put POI, Paul Oscar India, Person of Influence, right? And I want you to put your first and last name, and I want you to put your email address, okay? And it's a Dropbox folder, so I'm going to add you to that Dropbox folder. I want you to download these 5 videos to your computer. I want you to put them on your phone. I want you to watch them. I want you, as your coach here, I'm telling you, man, giving you a direct instruction, I want you to go through this process, okay? And by you doing this, what you're after, and the videos are going to explain exactly how to do it, you're going to have 4 qualified POIs within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And you're going to basically meet with one of them every single week for the rest of your business life. And as long as you do that, I promise you this, you'll get anywhere from 10, 15 referrals a month consistently. I know because I've been doing this forever. And it happens all the time, okay? So you're going to want to get this system in place, okay? So again, you want to, what was that number? 916-741-0596, okay? So you want to, there's 5 steps to it, right? So you want to identify who the POIs are, and I give you step-by-step instruction on there how to identify who those people are. You're going to meet with them and have an initial meeting, and then you're going to set a baby step. Then you're going to get back together and follow up. Both of you are going to get a referral out of the deal, and then you're going to turn this into a system. And if you turn it into a system, man, you'll go into every month with as many leads as you possibly can handle. But it works every single time. Next one is once you have a POI relationship set up, okay, there's a couple of different strategies that you can run. One of them is what I would call reciprocal referral relationship. And what that simply means is you and I are going after the exact same client, okay? A client for you is a client for me. Now, how do you find that out? I'm glad you asked. Here's what you do. You go to your top 10 clients. Remember, we got our top 10 clients that we love, right? You want to ask them, who else do you pay money to? Because if they're your client and they're paying you money, they're probably paying somebody else money too. You know, who's your accountant? Who's your attorney? Who's your insurance person? Who is, you know, where do you get your dry cleaning done? You know, who's your CPA? Who's your lawyer? Who's your data telecom provider? Whatever services they buy, you want to ask them, hey, who do you use? And they say, well, I use Bill Smith. Really? So you use Bill Smith for your business insurance? I do. How long have you used Bill Smith? Oh, I used Bill Smith for the last 10 years. So obviously you like Bill. Yes, I do. What do you like most about Bill? What is it about Bill that you like? And your client's going to tell you. And you say, hey, I'm looking to add a business insurance person to my network of resources. Would you mind referring Bill to me? Sure, no problem. Let me give you Bill's cell phone number, his firstborn, you know, his email address. You know, let me give you everything about Bill. Okay? So your client's going to refer Bill to you. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to send an email and go, hey, Bill, Sally speaks very highly of you. Sally's a client of mine. She said that I should connect with you. Do you have 5 minutes that we can chat on the phone? He's going to say, yeah. Okay? And now we're going to get Bill on the phone. We're going to go, Bill, John Pyron. Hey, both of us have a mutual client, Sally. Sally speaks really, really highly of you. Well, thank you. I'm glad she does that. Great. Hey, I'm just curious. Sally's your client and Sally's my client. And I got to thinking, you know, you and I probably have the same type of client when we're going out to marketing, right? You probably have more clients just like Sally, and I probably have more clients just like Sally. And I'm thinking, how can we help each other grow each other's business? Are you open to me buying you a cup of coffee? And he's going to say yes. Okay. Then we're going to get together, and I'm going to run the rest of on that POI video series. I'm going to run the rest of that system, and Bill's going to give me a referral. I'm going to give Bill a referral. We're going to walk through a process. And lo and behold, I've got a new POI that's a reciprocal referral relationship, and all I got to do is set up a reoccurring appointment every month to meet with him. So that's one way to use POI, reciprocal referral relationship. Another way to use POI, a lot of my clients can become POIs, right? So I find a client, that client of mine is going after other clients just like mine. So I have a client that is going after the same client I'm going after. We can develop a reciprocal referral relationship there. I can bring my client or a referral. My client can bring me a referral as long as I set up a reoccurring system to meet with them. Same principle, right? Except the POI is my client. Now, if you really want to put this on steroids and you really want to cement your client relationships and get a lot more referrals from your clients, teach this stuff to your client. Your client wants to grow their business too. So you might as well teach this stuff to them as if it's your own system, right? Not going to bother me. As long as it helps you and you grow your business, that's all I care about. Okay? So that would be POI, reciprocal referral relationships, clients. Let's talk about the next POI, and that's our power base. Never, ever, ever ignore your power base. What is a power base? Power base would be our friends, our relatives, the people that care about us the most. Because they either work for somebody or they own a business. Follow what I'm saying here. They either work for somebody or they own a business. And so they are a potential source of leads for me as long as I ask the question, right? And they're there to help me. So same principle. I go and I meet with them. What can I do for them first? How can I help them? And then I explain to them, how can you help me? How many of us have businesses and then we see a friend of ours or a relative of ours or an existing client of ours, even worse, they go and they buy something that we sell. And you're like, what happened? I sell that. And they're like, well, I didn't know. You never told me, man. See, that's what happens. That's when we ignore our power base. Never, ever, ever let that go. Always feed your power base. Okay. Always keep those relationships nurtured. That way you can go and talk to them about what a lead for you is. Next is networking events. Networking events are huge. Okay, especially if it's a networking event where your target market's hanging out at. So we're talking about the Rockland Chamber of Commerce, right? So the Rockland Chamber of Commerce has these events every single month. They have a breakfast, they have a mixer, they have the executive event series. They have multiple events that you can show up to every single month. And the key, and this is the reason most people don't get a lot out of chambers, is because they go to the chamber, they pay the dues, and they go, okay, now give me, right? No. You got to show up to these events, okay? The truth be told, if you want to get more out of any chamber, you got to show up and contribute, right? You got to contribute your energy. Well, John, I don't have a lot of money. No. You show up and contribute your energy to the event, right? Meet people. Ask questions about them. Make them feel special. Make them feel welcome to the chamber, okay? Become the self-designated greeter. Okay? In fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, right, just go look up John Pyron on YouTube. One of the most popular videos up there is how to leverage networking events, how to get the most out of a next networking event. Okay? But keep in mind, when you're at a networking event, this is the number one rule to understand when you're at a networking event. You are there to generate leads, not sell, not set appointments, not sell your product or service unless you're a vendor, you have your own vendor table or whatever, right? You're there to generate leads. So what I always do is I set a goal. I want 10% of the room. So if it's 100 people, I want 10 leads from that room. Once I get my 10 leads, I'm out of there. Okay? I don't need to stay there and chit-chat unless I really want to. Okay? But I go there and I add a tremendous amount of value and make lots of people feel special, ask lots and lots of questions, help uplift them. And by asking a lot of questions, people will share stuff, and I can help them. Same thing for you. You got ideas that can help other people. Share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Okay? People they'll start to trust you more when you go to these networking events, and they know you to be a person that shares value. And they're going to give you leads as a result. So networking events is very key. Next one of the other things is follow your money. People that you pay money to. My dry cleaner, my business insurance guy, my medical insurance guy, the copier vendor person, all these people that I paid money to. I had a roof done on my house. I made a lot of money just by following that money, right? I called him up and I said, hey, I need a speaking engagement. You guys did the roof on my house. I'd like to come in and be a speaker. He said, sure, come on in. Put 45 people in the room. I closed 34, walked out of there with a $10,166 check. Because of this strategy right here, follow my money. So make a list of the people that you pay money to. Now here's an advanced strategy. Make a list of the people that you pay money to, even if it's not a potential lead for your product or service. And the reason is you can find somebody who that is a lead for, and you can give them your vendor information and make the intro and make them money. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to help generate leads for you as well. So it's always, you'll get as many leads as you want if you help enough other people. Okay. Now, recycle leads. What do you do with a lead that you call them up today and they say, hey, no, not interested, bad timing, whatever. Well, recycle them. 6 months from now, re-engage with them. You never know when when the tide's going to turn for them. So recycle those leads. Social media. You definitely want to have a good, solid social media strategy. My advice on social media would be this. Share a lot of free content, okay? If you want a good resource to follow for how to really leverage social media for lead generation, I'd highly recommend you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got a free podcast. Look up the Gary V, which is Gary, and then V, it's VEE. Okay. Number one social media expert in the world. Okay. Free podcast. Follow it, implement it, share those ideas and strategies with those that you care about. But you've got to create lots and lots of content if you want to play the social media game. You can't just post once a week. You can't just post once a day. You got to hammer it. Okay. And he gives you, he's got a good book out right now called Crushing It. And his first book is called Crush It. Really good strategies on how to generate leads using social media. The last thing I'm going to share with you is give something away. Create an info product. Create, a video, an audio file, a blog article, something that has value that you can give away. Put it on an opt-in page to where they got to subscribe and give their information to, in order for them to get the free deal. Okay. Now, lead generation. Inner game has to do with mindset. You got to think to yourself, there's plenty of leads. I've given you all kinds of strategies on how to generate leads today. You implement even even a quarter of what I've taught you today, and you're going to generate more leads than you can possibly handle. So again, send that text message, 916-741-0596. I think that was the number. Okay. And I will give you, I'm going to put together a whole lead generation folder. Okay. It's going to have the perfect client strategy in there. It's going to have the POI video series in there. And then you need to set up a CRM. Okay. So you need to set up a CRM in there. I'm going to share with you 2 videos I did. There was a guy that was 63 years old, non-technology person, and I showed him how to set up a CRM. It's going to be very important that you get that CRM set up. So next week when I talk about appointment setting, I'm going to talk about a strategy that I use for appointment setting where I don't have to make any freaking cold calls. I don't like cold calls. Hate them. It works. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to knock a cold call. I will make a cold call, but I would rather not make a cold call. I don't know about you. I'd rather make a warm call. And I'm going to teach you a system on next week's call. It's an appointment setting system I created back in 2003, where you're just going to be able to set as many appointments as you want. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. Let me stop sharing the screen here. Okay. See who we have on the call here. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? I'm going to unmute everybody. Okay. So you can always mute your own phone. Okay. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask or any clarification that they need? And don't everybody speak up at once. Chris Dancy, you there? You might want to check the mute button on your phone.
I'm on my computer. Can you hear me?
I can. So any questions about what we talked about today?
I do have actually one question. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I've been taking copious notes. You mentioned the POI, and I'm familiar with the POI. You can hear me still, okay, John, correct?
Yep.
Good,
yep.
Thank you. You mentioned the POI, and you mentioned the high percentage of the secret to a POI is that a person is a high percentage of my target audience, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do I determine that that person has that high percentage of my target audience? I obviously need to get to understand the POI. Is there a way in which I determine that POI, or I ask questions of a potential POI to know that's the right POI for me? Is there a secret to that?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. So my favorite way to identify who should be a POI for me is I go to my existing client base, and I basically interview my client base, and I say, hey, you know what? Like in your case, you do wealth planning, right?
That's correct.
And you're selling life insurance as well?
Yes, that's also correct.
Okay. But you're not a family estate attorney, right?
Correct. I'm not.
You're not a business insurance attorney, right?
Not either that. No.
Okay. What about health insurance?
I can do health insurance. Yes.
Okay. But do you do a lot of health insurance, or do you try to stay away from it and outsource it?
I stay away from an outsource. I use other advisors in the office where appropriate. That's
Sure.
Tends to be an expertise.
And
based. Yeah.
Yep. And you're not a bookkeeper, are you?
No.
You're not an IT company?
I'm not. No.
Okay. So what's interesting is most of your business clients, okay, or most of the higher wealthy clients that you have are going to use those services.
Got it. Okay.
And so what I would do is I would make a list of the top 10 clients that you love, okay, just like what we just talked about. And I would go to your client and go, hey, do you have a good business insurance person that you use? Yeah. What do you like about them? How long have you used them? You know, would you refer them to other people? Yeah. Well, I'm looking to develop a better network of people that I can refer that are vetted resources, and I could use a really good business insurance person. Okay. Now I'm just using the business insurance person as an example.
Sure.
You probably already have somebody that you refer to, but I would go to my existing clients first to see what services they use and what services they pay for. Because they're going to give you the straight skinny as to why they like those people and why they use those people. And then they're going to give you their contact info. And all you got to do is call them up and go, hey, you know, Joe, this is Chris Dancy. Fred's a client of mine. Fred's your client. I got to thinking, man, we both have the same client. We probably have other clients just like Fred. And I can't think of a better way to grow my business and for you to grow your business than through collaboration. Are you open to me buying you a cup of coffee this week or next week so we can get to know one another and see what we can do to help each other grow our businesses? He's going to say yes.
That makes sense. You know, and when you describe it that way, it's fairly logical. And I would have thought of that, but I had not. That fits.
Yeah. So, and then you just methodically go through that. All you need is 4. Okay. All you really, really need. I mean, I've built 3 multi-million-dollar companies with just 4 POIs because I have coffee with one of them every week, which means I meet with them once a month. And I go to their LinkedIn profile before we meet. I do a search on who my perfect client is. I bring a list of 10 people that I think would be a good fit for me. We meet, we have coffee, and I don't even talk about leads at that point. I'm just saying, hey, man, tell me about your month, man. How'd your month go? You know, what's exciting for you this next month? What are your goals for this next month? How can I help you get there? And he or she asked me the same thing. And then I whip out my list at the end and I go, I went on your LinkedIn profile. And these are the people that I think will be a really good fit. Who on here do you actually know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, they're gonna, on average, I'm averaging about 4 or 5 people on that list they actually know. And then memory joggers kick in for them. They go, oh, I didn't know that was the person you're looking for. You need to contact my buddy Fred. You need to contact Sally. You need to contact Mary. And, you know, they'll think about 3 or 4 other people that are not on that list. But the key is doing this over and over again, right? Being consistent with it.
Very helpful.
Right?
And that's very helpful. Yes, John. Makes sense.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, that was good. That's the one I had made a note to myself when I was writing it down. I'm going, I know the POI, I know that there's real power in it, but how did you get started and how to determine them? And the process you gave is very logical and it makes sense.
Yeah, that 5-part series that I'm just going to give out walks you through it step by step. I mean, no stone left unturned.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Let me unmute everybody else. You bet. Before we go, anybody else have any questions? Anybody else want some coaching? Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be around lead generation. Anybody have any specific business challenge that they have that they would like some coaching on today? Going once. Uh-oh, somebody's trying to say something. Check your mute button on your phone. All right, nobody. All right, hey, everybody have a wonderful week. The recording will be up by tomorrow, and we'll be off to the races. Go out and make it happen, guys. Talk to you later.
Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
You bet.